Welcome to the Sky Talk Doc podcast, where we navigate life, relationships, and everything in between with thought-provoking curiosity and a touch of grace. Buckle up, Buttercup. This is a flight you won't forget. I am really excited to share something that has honestly been such a game changer for me during a time when I truly needed some extra support. I've been feeling the weight of stress and life, and I could see it showing up in my overall health and well-being. For the past few weeks, I've been using bioactive peptides, and holy buckets, guys, I have improved mental clarity, focus, and I'm finally getting some more restful sleep. If you've been struggling with brain fog, low energy, skin health, and that last little bit of weight or getting really good sleep, this might be worth looking into. And of course, you know, I don't add products to my health and wellness routine without doing significant research. When I saw what Make Wellness was doing and their evidence-backed science, I had to give it a try. I also followed it up with my own personal mini case study using dry blood analysis, and the proof was in the pudding. I have now partnered with Make Wellness to bring you their bioactive peptide products with a special Sky Talk Doc promo code that you can find in the show notes. As always, consult with your provider before making medical decisions. This should not replace medical advice. Before we get into today's podcast and our amazing guest, I just want to tell you, you're not broken. You're just wired for survival in a world that doesn't always feel safe. Maybe you keep people at a distance because deep down you don't feel very lovable, or maybe you overachieve because a part of you believes you're not enough. But that's not weakness. It's your brain doing its best to protect an old wound. But here's the thing. What protected you then might be sabotaging you now. If you're tired of the same arguments, same spirals, or feeling unseen in your relationships, take the 7 Primal Wounds quiz at 7primalwounds.com to find out what your wound is and stop the same crappy patterns, chaos, and relationship conflict today. Good morning, Mike, and welcome to the Sky Talk Doc podcast. I have been counting down the days to talk to you because I am so excited. It is revolutionary. Could you share a little bit with the listeners about what you're doing, how you got here, and all the amazing stuff? Because I don't want to give it away. You talk, you go.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, I think it's groundbreaking, but we created actually, I'm the owner of the Signal Relief Patch, which is, it's a new way that we actually deal with pain. But the story behind it is the coolest part because I'm actually not a doctor. And I'll tell you what, like actually the owner of this place, Illuminati, it's the most unbelievable place. He has doctors work for him, but he's not either. And sometimes these scientists who can think outside the box come up with some of the coolest things that just change the way we deal with disease and pain relief and other things that we're dealing with every single day. And so we're tech guys. And back in 2012, I invested into an antenna company and we were building military tech. We're basically the ones that shrunk the 5-foot antenna that a team of Navy SEALs would run around with down to the size of a credit card.
Awesome.
And we did it by shifting it to work on electrical fields. Well, the body works on microcurrents too, electrical microcurrents. And so we were able to take a lot of those same principles and that same technology and build a pain patch that, for better or worse, is an antenna that helps relieve pain, no side effects. It's kind of cool because it's what it really is it's like a lightning rod. So when we feel pain, trying to take like 5 years of stuff and shrink it down to a few minutes, but when we feel pain, all it is energy. So your nerves start firing off and creating energy, and that energy goes up your neural pathways, hits your brain. The more energy you feel, the more pain you feel, right? All the patch does is it's like a lightning rod. So when lightning hits a house, it lights on fire. But if there's a lightning rod, all of that energy will go to the rod and into the ground because it follows path of least resistance. When that energy hits our patch, for 85% of people, that energy will actually go into the patch instead of continue up. And so we're able to interrupt that signal and allow it to have a pathway out of the body, which, I mean, it doesn't obviously fix or solve problems, but it allows people with what have chronic issues to, I mean, if you've ever put one on, but it works, and it works, and you don't have to put anything in your body, no wires, no goop. And I mean, we've had 5 sets of clinicals, and it looks like for 85% of people, the average is a 60% decrease in pain, and the inflammation leaves the area. And so it's just a really cool product that you can use over and over and over again. And I mean, I can tell you some of the stories today, but we've really seen it just change people's life, which the reason why it's a big deal for me is because I had so many people in my life who really struggled with chronic pain, and it affects the way they live. It's the only thing they can think about every single day. And for most of those people, they've lost hope. I mean, they've done everything Western medicine's asked them to do. They're taking pills, right, which isn't good, or they have pain
I'm
pumps
dying to
installed.
jump in here. I'm
Yeah,
dying to jump in here. I'm like,
yeah.
okay, keep talking, but I've got to share my own personal story with your patch.
You should.
Yes,
So
so
it's
your team sent it, and I left it sitting for a couple of days because like I got to do a little research before I try this. But the ironic thing is, I was in a car accident back in September, and Genesis and Gordy did a great job of protecting me, the car. But the seatbelt like basically locked my shoulder into place, but the whole shoulder moved during the accident, and it tore. My shoulder tore.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to heal it naturally. And it's just kind of ironic because I was in PT and all the things, and your team sent the patch. And I was like, now what kind of woo woo mumbo jumbo malarkey is this? Like, how is this going to work? But then at the same time, I know a little something about neurotransmitters. I know a little something
Mhm.
about the energy fields of the body, from doing work with Reiki and all that for years and all the different things. And so anyway, I was really fascinated by this, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to give it a go. And I put it on, and I'm not even kidding you. That was the first night that I've like really gotten good sleep in the longest time. I was like, my gosh, holy buckets, it works. Like there was something to it. So I was dying to tell you because I'm like, it literally works. And I'm not a chronic pain person. So like I wouldn't have been able to
Yeah.
relate to this if I hadn't had that accident, the car accident. And so then I was kind of geeking out. And I was looking on your website about like the fourth phase of water and just all the work that, goes into the energy fields of the body and how it actually, but I was like, but how is it stopping the neurotransmission? Like that's the part that I could not figure out. What I'm hearing you say is like a lightning rod, it's pulling it out of, it's basically leveling it up into a different
Yeah,
sphere
and
almost.
energy always goes to the path of least resistance. And so when the patch, so you hurt your hand, you put the patch right here in the wrist. When that energy hits, like you probably noticed it got warm when
Yes,
you
it
put it
was
on your
it was warm
shoulder.
to the touch.
It's
Yes.
because the energy's leaving your body and going into the patch. The energy from your body is what heats it up, and that's why you feel warmth. And so you're basically we've created a separate highway for that energy to leave. Now, what's so cool about it is because you're getting rid of the cause of what causes you to hurt, the
You can heal.
inflammation leaves too.
Yeah,
And we
so you
have
can heal.
so much thermology that shows this, but you'll see the inflammation decrease by, I mean, it will be 2/3 of it will disappear within 15 minutes, which is just crazy. Because you
It's
think
crazy. Well,
about
what
the
I
our old
noticed.
way, you sprain your ankle, right? You wait like a day and a half for it to go out, but with the patch, it's totally different story. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I noticed
Pretty
too,
cool.
like, the nature of the protective mechanisms of the body is that the minute you start to feel the pain, everything kind of locks down, right? Like protect. And
Hmm.
so it was like I couldn't lift the arm to a certain level because it would feel the pain and it would just stop. That's how frozen shoulder starts. But when the
Yep.
patch was on, I was like, oh, wow, I've got like full range of motion. Like, what's going on here? And so the nature of having pain relief actually allowed the joint and everything to start to move again, which is what I think was probably the more profound part of it. It was able to
Yep.
heal through the movement that it needed to be able to have that it couldn't have when I had the pain because the body's too protective.
Dude, I'll have Lindsay so you can show it to your audience, but I want to show you, I want to give you our thermology results where you can see people that have pain. You can, with thermology, you can see that wherever pain is, it lights up red and there's a
Yes.
lot of heat in that area. And you
Yes.
just watch how fast it dissipates. But what's cool is it's not, what you'll notice is the red marks around the whole body will start to disappear, not just in that area. And so
Wow.
as you pull noise out of the body, then the body starts to function better just because there's less noise in the body. And that's what pain signal does. It creates a lot of noise. And so I have a lot of theories I probably can't talk about on here. We'd have to talk separate. But we've seen some crazy stuff happen. And I've got theories as to why. Like,
Well,
so
so
cerebral
something
palsy, right?
Yeah.
cerebral. I always say it wrong. Cerebral palsy. I had a guy once, he came, and not once, he was in Idaho, he's from Tennessee, and he had that his whole life. So he'd never felt anything below his knee, ever. Like he's never felt his toes, his feet, any
Oh,
of that
wow.
stuff below the knee. We stick the patch in the middle of his back because that's the main vagus nerve. So the theory behind what I was trying to think was if I could pull some of the noise out, what if it could start contacting?
Regenerating.
Well, he texts me at midnight and is like, Mike, you got to call me. This is crazy. My toes are tingling. And I
No
call him and
shit.
he's like, dude, I've never felt my toes. They're tingling. And I'm like, he's like, should I take it off? And I should have probably said yes, right? Because I don't know what I'm like, it is brand new. And I'm like, no, man, you got to keep it on. You got to tell me what it does in the morning. So he keeps it on. And in the morning, he had full filling in his feet. So what's crazy is he now plays basketball. He's married and he just did door-to-door sales pest control all last summer, not this summer, but last summer, and said that all he does is just put the patch in between his shoulder blades. And as long as he does that, he has full filling in his feet. Changed his life. And it's like, how did it do that? Because we already know what it does. It only does one thing, which is allow that energy to leave. But I think for some people, there's a lot of things going on that creates a lot of noise. And one thing we noticed even with the antenna is if there was too much noise in the area, it was really hard to get a signal from A to B. And I think the body is somewhat similar in how it works. And so we've seen a lot of stuff, even though we've created it for relieving, for helping people deal with the effects of pain. We're seeing all sorts of other effects. We've probably had 150 people email us and be like, how come does this stop depression? I don't have to take my depression meds anymore. Well, obviously it isn't targeted for depression, right? But I think a lot of that can be caused just because the body has so much other things going on. And so things just start breaking down. It's not able to function normal. And sometimes getting rid of some of that noise is just enough to get you over the hump of
Well,
being
it's
able to
like
have a
as
little
you're
bit more
talking,
normal
I'm
life.
thinking about how when you put like two microphones together, you get that feedback and it's really like screeching and squealing. And so what you're doing is redirecting the feedback center, it sounds like. And,
Mm-hmm.
if you reduce noise, imagine somebody's living with that feedback all the time. And if you remove some of that feedback, just the noise alone would improve your mental health, right? Like
Yeah,
just thinking about that,
exactly.
you're like, shut it off. You know what I mean? And when you shut it off, they feel lighter, they feel better. Years ago, my dad showed me this fascinating thing. It was a technique that they used when he was working in like engineering, where they would take these copper rods to find water. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I
They
actually
were
used
called
them on my
witching
property to
sticks.
find the power line.
Yeah. Yeah, so you hold them and then they'll come together and cross and they're called witching sticks. But anyways, I think that might be part of what's happening with your patch is it's a it's not just about the energy, it's also about the fluid movement, right? So when you
Mm-hmm.
can restore fluid movement to certain parts of the body, that is going to also help repair whatever impairment is going on.
Yep, 100%. And we've seen that with like, so I mean, it's built for musculoskeletal pain. We'll talk about that, but these are the crazy stories with exactly what you're talking about. I met a girl named Vicky Voss. She was 65. She was in a hospital, and she basically was in the hospital because her husband brought her there because she didn't want to live really any. She was getting so frustrated with life with fibromyalgia because it's 10 out of 10 pain. Everything you move, you're bedridden, right?
Mhm.
And so her daughter was getting married in a couple weeks, and just that idea of like, I'm not even going to be able to make it to the wedding was so hard on her. I gave her a patch before we ever were available to sell. I actually met her in the hospital and I ran to the manufacturing plant and I got one of our demo units and I brought it to her and told her to stick it in the middle of her back because I was just curious, right? Because we're tech guys. So in my mind, I'm like, what causes it? Could this make, and anyway, I'm like, just put it in your back and tell me, 10 out of 10 pain, does this help at all? That's all I wanted to know. So day one, she texts me and she's like, I don't know if it's in my head, but it might be working, but I can't really tell. Day two, she's like, I definitely think I'm in less pain, but again, it might be in my head. Day three, she calls me and she's bawling. And I'm like, Vic, are you okay? And she's like, I just want to thank, she's like, I woke up today and I don't have any pain. It's gone. And in my mind, I'm like, what would have caused that, right? But this is what I think, theory-wise. We were pulling out noise out of her nervous system. And I know that she got fibromyalgia. It started with a wreck. She had gotten it, they'd hit a moose in Provo Canyon, and it basically had shattered the vertebrae in her neck. And that's where it started. That she had that traumatic event. And then it slowly over the next few years turned into something way worse, right? And so I wonder, because that's kind of like one of those things where the doctors don't really know what causes it, if it's a result of a ton of things breaking down to where the whole body starts to break down. Because it's weird that it took 3 days, but we've had 3 or 4 more fibromyalgia patients have the same experience, and it's always 3 to 4 days later. So it's almost like you pull out enough noise where things start to function again and the body starts fixing itself, which has nothing to do with the patch, but what you're talking about, which is sometimes I think there is too much noise. But what the patch is built for, these are the cool stories that are so rad. So I just get it done and I come to Idaho and I'm in a football game. And my kid's really good at football. So he scored like 4 to 5 touchdowns that game. And my high school buddy had moved back to Idaho, but I didn't know it. But his sons played for the other team. So he notices this Hammond kid scoring all these touchdowns. And he's like, I wonder if that's Mike's boy. So he goes up to him. Hey, are you Mike's dad? Or is Mike your dad? And he's like, yeah, that's my dad. And he's like, no way, I'm Matt Silva. So I get introduced to Matt that day again. And what had happened is when we were 20 years old, Matt worked at a place called Yellowstone Log, and his leg got sucked into a stump grinder. So
Oh
he
my
lost
God.
his leg. Yeah. So back in the 2000s, we wore those MC Hammer pants with the little strings off the ends. Remember those?
Why can I so see you in those? Oh my God.
And he's sitting there and he's throwing logs through this stump grinder, and the wind blows, and that little drawstring on his pant
No,
flipped over into the stump grinder, and it yanked
no.
his leg all the way through.
Oh my
And
God.
so he lost his leg, and he was dealing with crazy phantom limb pain. I mean, every
Oh
day
yeah.
he felt like it was just needles, and then he'd feel his whole leg that used to be there, and it never went away. Well, he's a nurse practitioner, and so he knows the medical world. He's in hospitals all day in ERs, and he just had barely that month had $100,000 pump installed that pumped morphine to his spine, and he's like, that was the best thing he'd done so far. But when I talked to him, I'm like, how you doing? He's like, man, my leg still hurts. And I'm like, really? And he's like, dude, I got this pump, but man, it hurts. It's like, it's seriously. And you could just tell how down he was after 16 years. Is so sick of it. It's the only thing.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be like, hey, Mike, how you doing? And instead of any of that, it was, hey, man, my leg still hurts. Like, that's where his mind is,
That's his
right?
life. Yeah.
And so I tell him to come to my office. I have a patch I want him to wear. And it took if I didn't have Vicky Voss's story, he would not have come. He's like,
Yep.
dude, you're nuts. This is stupid. I'm not doing it. But he comes, and his family comes with him, his 2 boys that were playing. He has 2 twins. Anyway, we're in the office. I stick the patch on his leg, and in 10 seconds, his shoulders are shaking. He looks up, and tears are coming down both eyes, and he just goes, I don't feel any pain. It's gone. He goes, for the first time in 16 years, I don't have pain. I turn around, his 2 ninth grade boys are bawling. That's what hit me, because what we don't realize is people who deal with that kind of stuff, it affects their families. And so what you really saw was kids that have never seen their dad not miserable, not in pain, probably
Wow.
not treating them a certain way because he's never happy, all of a sudden not having any pain. And it's like, that's life-changing for the family. And so
Wow.
it was one of the coolest things that I've actually ever experienced, and it's probably what makes me wake up every day excited to bring this to the world, because I think there's a lot of people in that scenario. They're awesome humans. They have great families, but like, it's hard to look past something you feel all day long that never goes away. And so it's why I'm at places like Lamati, that they're just outside the box, figuring out how to change people's lives and fix problems that we can't fix right now. And Signal's one of those. And what's so cool about it is it's like nothing. It's $150 and it lasts over a year. Someone can wear it every day for a year for $150. It's like
Well,
nothing.
I wasn't sure. I was like, "Am I allowed to shower with this thing on?" Like, I wasn't sure if I could wear it in the shower, so I've been taking it off for the shower. Is that right?
Yeah, you can. It is water resistant, but I always take mine off and just stick it back on. It's
Yeah,
actually good for
okay.
it to come off.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I wear mine all day. And it's just because for all the reasons we've talked about, I think it pulls noise out, it takes inflammation out of the body. And I have an old back injury, and I just don't even, it doesn't even bother me now. I just wear that thing every day. And so the coolest part about it, so making money's never been our goal with this thing. It is changing lives. I have, as you know, I've had 14 businesses. I've done that already. Like, this is all about changing lives. So we have this money back guarantee, which is, it takes like 10 minutes to know if it's going to work, but we give people 45 days.
Right. Yeah,
And the
totally,
truth
totally.
is, we don't get very many back.
Right.
And what's weird is we know from our clinicals that it works on 85% of people. 15% broadcast a little bit different, and we've been able to get it to capture for 85% of people. It will make that energy basically flow. And we know it won't work on about 15%, right? But we get 10% back, which is crazy, but I think it's just because they use it on their family members.
The
And then they
placebo
just
effect or
don't give it
something.
back. And I know that a huge chunk of that is people that kept it for 30 days and they got out of pain, and then they send it back right? And so, we don't
Right.
care, whatever, but really is one of those things where, what is the risk to you, really? If you're sitting at home and you're struggling with something, like, why not give it a try? Because it's one of the coolest techs that I've ever come across. I'm way excited to bring to the world, but I wish we could share with you the names of the people that this has changed their life,
Yeah.
because I think if people knew, it would be a frenzy, actually. But some of
Yeah,
the
well,
coolest
I'm a
people out there are
full-blown
wearing it.
testimonial at this point. I mean, it's so funny too because my partner was putting it on and he's like, "I don't know about." I was like, "I don't know either, but I'm willing." And then I was like, "Holy buckets, it's working. This is actually working." And so then I was geeking out on how and why. I wonder it too, is there maybe some nerve regeneration that happens from the electrical stimulus? Because it's not
So I don't.
inserting electrical impulses, right? It's just
It
redirecting
doesn't do
them.
anything. So it's what's cool about it is it puts nothing in the body, and it just allows that energy to leave, right? And so we haven't seen any bad side effects. We've sold over 1 million of these things. We have not had anything ever come back. We have some crazy miracle stories that we hear nonstop, but nothing. And so, what I think it is, and inflammation is the main. I mean, the cause of cancer is inflammation in the body, right? And so, inflammation is really the root of, I think, all sickness. And this pulls inflammation out. And so I think the body is able to heal itself and do a lot of things when it has less inflammation. And I'm not saying this takes it all away, right? But for
Right.
a lot of people, it pulls enough out that I feel like sometimes it's like climbing a hill and you can see the top, but you just can't get there. And that's where a lot of people's bodies are. It's like, if they
Yep.
could just have someone push me over the top, then I could get over the top and get to the other side of the hill. And I just think that's what the patch does. And I mean, we've seen crazy stuff in the sports world. We had a soccer team in Mexico use it. Their number one injury is quad injuries. And so it takes 28 to 31 days, they said, on average, for their soccer players to get back on the field when they get a quad injury.
Wow.
And with the patch, it was 8 to 9 days. That's like a third of the time. And
So
then
I've
we did
gotta
a
gotta
trial with the
ask you.
BYU baseball team, and it was the same way. They did it with pitchers, so they were taping it on the front and back of the shoulder when they pitched. So
Yep.
pitchers usually, after they pitch in a game in college, have to wait 4 days before they pitch again because their arms are sore. They have to let it heal. And they still made them wait. But when they pitched with it on, they woke up and never had a sore arm.
It's like
They
KT
never got
tape on
sore.
steroids.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so I have one question, it's maybe a little bit off topic, but do you think that, like, the EMFs in our world and kind of what's happening with G, cell towers, all that, I mean, you were in the antenna industry, do you think that that's contributing to, like, the defunct nature of human bodies, like the breakdown?
I'm 100% convinced. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
I think so too. And so I feel like we are constantly in a space where we're having to undo the doing You know what I mean? Where we kind of have to, we can't just live like a normal, quote, normal life and think it's, you can eat healthy or this or that, and that's going to be enough anymore. I don't think that's enough anymore with what we're pumping into our atmosphere, our bodies, all of that. I think we have to approach it as like multiphasic because of that. And we have to be ahead of it. So I've kind of been telling like my clients, you can't expect to be an NFL player and go to the game and excel unless you're practicing hardcore all week long. Like you're preparing for
Yeah.
that level of game. And I think that we have to be preparing for that level of game to do life right now.
100%. And I think there's so much stuff we can't control, right? And so I think that's why it's so important to take total control of the things you can control. And like everyone's nervous to ever talk about it, but some of the stuff we put in our bodies to deal with some of these things and the damage that it does, it's crazy land. And so if you
Yeah.
have a solution like this that's non-invasive that allows you to eliminate a lot of that stuff, I mean, why not try it? We actually did a trial with Beth, our doctor out of Sedona. We put it on 10 post knee replacement, basic orthopedic surgeries for knee replacement. All 10 people were able to use it and not use any opioids in that little
Mhm.
mini trial we did, which is just like, you think about it, it's life changing because how much of that turns into addiction, overuse. I mean, and there's a place for all of it, right? Like, I feel like there's a place for everything. I'm never one of those guys that's like, don't ever. I think all of it has its place, but as long as you can, in my mind, I'm non-evasive for everything that I can possibly do until I have to be.
Yep, same.
So, yeah. So I love this
That
thing. I think it's the
That was kind
coolest.
of a big thing for me was, I don't like to put anything in my body that I can't feel what's going on. You know what I mean? But when I was reading about specifically the slap tear, which is what I have, there's not a lot of blood that gets to the joint. And then, especially with women, as they age, the collagen that's there starts to fade. And so it's kind of like
Mhm.
a lot of different things that can contribute to these being pretty severe, especially for women. And they're notorious with car accidents because of the way the seatbelt works, which is our modern world, right? Like we weren't exposed to someone
Mhm.
slapping into us at 55 miles an hour, 50 years ago. This is a new thing. Um,
Yeah.
but so what surprised me with this signal patch, the signal relief patch, was I'm pretty sure that what it did was, like I was mentioning earlier, the fluid in the body, it allowed the blood flow to actually get there because
You do get more blood flow wherever you put it. You are
yes,
100%.
yeah, it was hot, and so for the shoulder joint in particular, that's critical.
When you get energy moving, then there's more blood flow to that area for sure. And so that's something that we've noticed in our tests. I mean, I actually had a buddy, so I own part of a stem cell company too. That's what brought me to this place. These guys are into regenerative medicine. So, like Gary Brecken, those guys come here. It's a pretty cool place. One of the trials I did with Dave, my partner on the stem cell side, is he was lifting weights and he tore his bicep off the bone. You know how it rolls up into the top of your arm? And
God.
so he had to go get that surgery where they cut open and re-stitch the muscles back down to the bone.
Oof.
And we ended up putting a shot of stem cells into the arm and the patch, and his recovery was like 2 weeks faster than normal. And then what's crazy is there was no raised scar or anything there. And so we
Wow.
haven't done a ton of trials on it, but there's definitely a whole nother side of this outside of just pain relief
Yeah.
that we're looking at now, and experimenting with. And it's just a cool product. It does only one thing, but that one thing is applicable in a lot of areas.
But what's interesting is, like, if you look at all the ancient religions of the world, they talk about the energy of the body. And so you're just tapping into something ancient, really. I mean, this is just like Nikola Tesla status or something. Not
Yeah.
that he's even ancient, but you know what I'm saying? Like this tech, I think we've actually had in our past, long ago. I think the healers back then knew about this. Fundamentally, I think they knew how this worked, and you're just bringing it to the forefront, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. And I think they gave you guys too, like I think all of your users didn't, we gave you a code called SkyTalk Doc.
Oh, did they?
And I
Good.
think with
Okay.
that
Yes.
code, yeah, all of your users can actually get a big discount on it too, where it's like only 129 bucks, but
I
129
mean,
bucks
that's
for something you can use every day for over a year. We warranty it for a year. I mean,
That's like 3 bottles
it's
of Advil,
nuts.
folks. Like, check it out. Wow, that's fantastic. Well, I know you've got to get back to what you're doing there at Illuminati and stem cell research and all the things, but thank you for coming on and sharing. And thank you for sending it because I really don't think I could have testimonialed it if it hadn't been my own life experience in this way. Like, that was wild. And so, everything you're talking about, it's completely true. I don't know how this, sorcery is happening, but it works. And I know you're doing a lot of incredible research. So that's fantastic. And I also love what you said. Like, this is a passion project. This is not a
Hmm.
piggy bank project. And I think you got to have those in life. I think those are the ones because as you were telling the testimonial stories, you were lighting up, really excited about it.
Oh, it's so cool.
I
It
think
is
that's pretty
so
neat.
cool. And there's a lot more on the website. If they go to signalrelief.com, they'll see a lot of those testimonials right there on that signalrelief.com website. So it's pretty cool.
Well, thank you
Thank you
so,
so
so much.
much.
Yes. And listeners, you know where to find all the links, always in the show notes. Thank you, Mike, for coming on. That was awesome.
Okay. All right. See ya. The views expressed in this podcast aren't necessarily those of the Sky Talk Doc. They're here to challenge your thinking and inspire growth. Until next time, blue skies and tailwinds.